Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the inaugural meeting of council. It's nice to have people back in the audience for however long, who knows, with the way COVID and RSV are going. Now we'll stand for the playing of our national anthem.
Thanks, Steve. So we'll now proceed with the declaration of office. So at this time, please ignore the order on the agenda. I'll call upon Councillor-elect Jeff Lackie to start. Please read. So once Councillor-elect Jeff Lackie is finished, we'll go clockwise to Gordon Ohlke, Brock Corral, and with Karina Smith-Gatcke being last. And then please sign the declaration of office once you're finished reading it. Thank you.
Thank you. I, Jeff Lackie, having been elected or appointed to the office of councillor in the township of Leeds and 1,000 Islands, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or in any other improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III. And I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously, believing it to be true and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if made under oath.
I, Gordon Ohlke, having been elected to the office of councillor in the township of Leeds and 1,000 Islands, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or in any other improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III. And I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously, believing it to be true and knowing that it is the same force and effect as if made under oath.
Excuse me. I, Brock Grell, having been elected or appointed to the office of councillor in the township of Leeds in the Thousand Islands, do solemnly promise and declare that, 1, I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. 2, I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or in any other improper manner. 3, I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. And 4, I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III. And I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously, believing it to be true and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if made under oath. Thank you.
I, Brian Mabee, having been elected or appointed to the office of councillor in the township of Leeds in the Thousand Islands, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or any other improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III. And I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously, believing it to be the true and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if made under oath.
I, Terry Fodey, have been elected or appointed to the office of councillor in the township of Leeds in the Thousand Islands, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or in any other improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III. And I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously, believing to be true and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if it were made under oath.
I, Mark Jameson, having been elected to the office of councillor in the township of Leeds in the Thousand Islands, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or award or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or in any other improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III. And I make this promise and declaration conscientiously, believing it to be true and knowing that it is in the same force and effect as if I was under oath.
I, Councillor Smith-Gatcke, having been elected or appointed to the office of mayor in the township of Leeds in the Thousand Islands, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or in any other improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty, King Charles III. And I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously, believing it to be true and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as made under oath.
And with that, I'll hand things over to CAO Steve for the presentation of the chain of office and gavel to Mayor-elect Smith-Gatcke.
Chain of office.
Thank you. Thank you.
The floor is yours.
Thank you, everybody.
You have the hammer now.
The strange thing is I never had to use this in the last term of office, and we're going to see if we can do that 2 terms running. So just don't tempt me, guys, okay? It is an honor to be returned to my seat as the mayor of the Township of Leeds in the Thousand Islands. While I was acclaimed, I know the collective work that we did here at council over the last 4 years spoke volumes to our taxpayers. We owe a great deal to the staff who helped us navigate a very difficult and uncertain time. Trust is paramount and trust is earned, and I believe we have earned that. With the shift in election grandstanding, visceral attacks, and plain mistruths, the average voter is very confused and sometimes angry. In the age of social media, credibility can be questioned in an instant because of people's perceived knowledge of an issue. I would sincerely encourage all who are interested in what we do, please come to the source. We sit around this horseshoe because taxpayers voted us in, and we are happy and willing to discuss any issue pertaining to council business. On the operational side, we are glad to connect you with the appropriate staff member to answer your questions or help find the solution to any problem. We are here to serve. I'm incredibly proud of the fact that despite an unprecedented pandemic, we managed to maintain a balanced budget while growing reserves for future projects. We are moving forward with plans to build a new fire hall at Highway 15 and 32 near Sealy's Bay and the large project of the rehabilitation of the Ivy Lee Wharf. Having a much needed parking lot in the village of Ivy Lee is so important to visitors and island owners alike. That in itself is a great accomplishment, and we thank the landowner who approached us and asked us to buy it because it will serve our residents for many years to come. We finished the boat launch in Rockport. It took a few years, but we got it done. And in light of the low water, we got it done right to make sure that we're able to serve, again, those residents and businesses that depend on it. We've also completed a ton of road work, most recently Junetown Road, LaRue Mills, Taylor Road West, and we've done a lot of drainage work, which was much needed. We've seen massive growth in our building department and enforcement, which will in turn ensure safe structures as well as increased assessments. I'm here to tell you that without question, the next 4 years will be difficult. Not specifically of what the township is facing, but in conjunction with the instability of the markets, inflation, mortgage rates, and general increased costs of everything in our lives. People are struggling, and the township is really no different. Costs have escalated, and we will need to make tough decisions to ensure our books remain balanced while we prepare for growth and building we hope to see in the future. When we were elected in our first term, we made a bold move in our second budget to increase taxes fairly significantly compared to recent years. We were not funding our own reserves. We were relying on the casino funds to do that on behalf of the taxpayer. With the advancement of the COVID pandemic a year later, what we hoped would never happen, happened. The tap was turned off. The casino was closed, and therefore the transfer payments we once relied upon all but disappeared. It was little solace that we had started the process of limiting our dependency, but it was a stark reminder that we have little control over private business at any time. We have built this trust over time. We have worked hard to serve the residents from both the day-to-day perspective as well as the council decision-making process. We have recruited a management team that has changed the way we do business and plan over the long term. The asset management exercise was a crucial step forward and will continue to evolve and inform the decisions we need to make going forward, regardless of our facilities, roads, and programs. This tool will ensure that every lawnmower, every set of bunker gear, every playground structure is maintained and renewed when appropriate. The system is not infallible, but rather a to-do list that doesn't get lost in the day-to-day operation. As a member of County Council, I learned in short order that the upper tier is not immune to the same pressures and challenges that we face here at the township level. Not to over-dramatize the financial pressures at the county, but their budget is almost 10 times greater than ours, with higher demands on roads and essential services such as paramedics, housing, and long-term care. Only recently, an asset management plan came forward, and it does not paint a rosy picture. I will do everything I can to hold the county to account for the fiscal management in the same way we expect here in our own township. I've enjoyed this role as mayor immensely. I've learned so much and met so many interesting and helpful people. More importantly, I've had the privilege to meet many residents who appreciate the fact we're accessible and responsive. I've also had the privilege to sit around this table with all of the councillors who sit here today. And thank you for your service. Despite the uncertain times ahead, I'm confident that the council, along with staff throughout the township, will serve our residents to the best of our ability. To my husband, Jeff, and my children, Jack and Alex, who started this journey with me at the ages of 12 and 9, I've seen them grow and mature while their wife and mom has ran around with commitments as a mayor and as a business owner. I love you all and thank you for your patience and understanding. Also, to my associate, Lisa, who isn't here today, but runs my business in the background. Without her, I would not be able to continue to help support my family. And for that, I'm very, very grateful. Lastly, I would like to say how grateful I am to the council and all the local resident groups and businesses and residents who have persevered through this difficult time in history. I do believe we're stronger than ever. I truly look forward to the next 4 years. Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is statements by members of council. Does any member of council have a statement to make? Deputy Mayor Lackie.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm going to be very brief as was instructed. I'd just like to give thanks to all who placed their confidence in me to move the township forward and leave it a better place in 4 years. I'd like to thank all my families and friends and all those who have supported me in the past and will do so in the future. And I look forward to working with all of you again. Thank you.
Councillor Ohlke.
Thank you, Your Worship. And I think many of these statements are going to be very similar. My short words as instructed. First of all, thanks to all my family and friends and people I perhaps didn't really know very well who gave me their support. It was a long campaign. I'd also like to thank those who ran for office and did not succeed. Now, some may feel very disappointed and may have regrets, but the electoral contests are what make the outcomes real and true. Be proud of yourselves for standing up. This council has things to finish from before, and new things will arise, as alluded to, but I certainly feel confidence in my colleagues and in the excellent staff to move all issues forward. Thank you.
Councillor Grill.
I haven't prepared words, but I want to just reflect on this declaration of office. Number one, when it says you will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office, excuse me, to the best of your knowledge and ability, I'd like to say that in my case, I try to look after this entire township. I come from Ward 3, Escott, and I've always taken the point of view of the whole township, and I will continue to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Mabee.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you. It is indeed a great honor to be reelected to the councillor position in Ward 1. And I thank all that voted for me and my colleagues that got re-elected, Madam Mayor, who got acclaimed, which speaks for itself. But thank you very much to one and all. Thank you, Tina, for supporting me. Didn't think I was going to do that. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen, for being the great people you are. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you. First of all, I want to thank my wife, Amy. Our life has changed a little bit the last 4 years. It now centers around council meetings, committee meetings, and such, and other functions that numerously take place through this township. Famie has adjusted well, or has adjusted me well. I want to thank our two daughters, Angie, who is here today, and Pam, whose husband Jeff is here today. It's been a great experience. I've thoroughly enjoyed the last 4 years. I want to thank family, friends, and neighbors who signed my nomination papers. I truly want to thank all those that showed their support through voting me back into this table. I also at this time want to thank all the voters in the township for re-electing this council in its entirety. It gives me a lot of confidence knowing I sit here for the next 4 years with the knowledge and the determination and the work effort that sits around this table with me here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. I asked the mayor, what is the expectation for a councillor's statement? And she said, short. So far, that hasn't happened, and I won't be any different. I hope we will commit to governing. That is not applying our life and work experience, but applying the judgment and even some wisdom that we may have gleaned from life and work experience. There is a vast difference, and we all learned that in the last 4 years. I hope we commit to trusting the professional staff we employ, a good number of whom we have actually hired. They implement the agenda, an agenda mostly driven by higher tiers. And I'll be honest with you, I am very wary of the higher tiers. So I will listen very carefully to our staff. I hope we will commit to ensuring that the continuity we have will not beget complacency. It is a safe bet looking around the table that it won't. Why? Well, in my view, this table of council and staff colleagues is comprised of ethical and very authentic individuals. It is a privilege to serve our community with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, one and all. Appreciate those words, and we appreciate everybody who's come here to honor this very sacred ceremony and this transition. Even though it is the same individuals that sit around this table, it's still an important piece of the governance model. So the next item on the agenda is the appointment of a deputy mayor. So I am taking suggestions from the floor if anybody would like to nominate anybody. And if we need to have a secret ballot, or are we doing that? Or does it need to be out in public? I don't know if that's the case. I only do this once every 4 years. Yeah. Needs to be in public. Okay. So I need a nomination for a deputy mayor, please. And thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Mabee.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you, I would like to nominate Terry Fodey, Councillor Fodey.
Councillor Fodey, will you let your name stand?
And I withhold that answer.
Sure, I'll allow it.
I would like to make a nomination. I would like to nominate Gord Ohlke for deputy mayor.
So I have Terry Fodey and I have Gord Ohlke. Are there any other nominations from the floor? No, nominations don't require seconding, but thank you for asking. The nominations so far are Councillor Fodey and Councillor Ohlke. I'll call for nominations again. Is there any other nominations from the floor? Keep in mind that this position is for 2 years. We will go back to this position for nomination again in 2 years' time. So any further nominations? Okay, seeing no further nominations, Mr. Fodey, will you let your name stand?
Thank you, Your Worship. And I want to thank my friend and longtime friend and fellow councillor Mabee for the nomination, but I will decline. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Ohlke, will you let your name stand?
Yes, Your Worship, I will.
Okay, so Councillor Ohlke is letting his name stand for the position of deputy mayor, and since there are no other applicants, if you will, you are the lucky winner. Thank you very much for letting your name stand, and thank you for being deputy mayor. So the motion that comes forward, I need a mover and a seconder to appoint Councillor Ohlke as the deputy mayor for the 2022-2026 term of council for a period of 2 years. 40 and maybe. Okay. And all those in favor, please signify. All those opposed? And it's carried. Next item on the agenda is a special council meeting date. We don't have a special council meeting date at this particular point in time. We do have a December 5th committee of the whole and a December 12th council meeting. So please mark your calendars accordingly. Those meetings will be in the evening at 6:30 p.m. unless there is a planning meeting that the planner might be bringing forward, in which case we'll be starting a little bit earlier. So the next item on the agenda is the confirmation bylaw 22-075 November. I need a mover and a seconder for 3 readings and final passage to be granted to bylaw 22-075, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the corporation of the Township of Leeds and the Thousand Islands at its November 15th council inaugural meeting. Mover and a
I so
seconder.
move.
Okay, seconder. Okay. All those in favor, please signify. All those opposed? And we're carried. Thank you. And next item on the agenda is adjournment. And I need a motion to adjourn. Councillor Mabee. And Mayor Lackie. Say that. Non-debatable motion. All those in favor, please signify. All those opposed? And we're carried. Thank you, everybody, for attending today.